Hey, I'm Rob,
And I'm Mike.
and we're just two normal lads exploring the mysterious, the controversial, and the conspiratorial.
Join us each week down the rabbit hole for our latest exciting discussions, ideas, and tinfoil banter.
Tinfoil Banter, serious questions, questionable conclusions.
Hello and welcome to Tinfoil Banter episode 4, and tonight we're talking about the moon landings. Now, officially, there have been 12 astronauts who have actually landed on the moon across a span of 6 missions. The one we're talking about tonight is the most famous of the landings, which happened in 1969.
1969. So a lot happened in the 60s. We were talking about JFK last time, right? And that kind of ties into a lot of this because there's a lot of build up coming up to the moon landings, right?
Yeah, and obviously he's the one who started it, not because it was easy, but because it was hard. But he wasn't the one who finished it.
Well, he couldn't. He wasn't around anymore, unfortunately, as we discussed last week. But
yeah, he was busy.
he also kind of put the pressure on, as far as I understood it, because obviously there's a lot going on with the Cold War, and the Russians were kind of kicking the Americans' butts when it came to like progress in terms of going out to space and being the first to do things in that respect.
Yeah, in terms of the space race, they had hit the markers well before the Americans had really even gotten off the ground.
Yep.
First astronaut, Yuri Gagarin. First female astronaut, I can't remember her name. Something in
Wow,
Russian.
Mike.
Something in Russian.
That's all of our female
Yeah.
fans gone now. Thank you.
Sorry, Mum. Yeah.
Sorry, mums. That's a fair. It was pretty incredible what they were doing though, but it was all part of the bigger sort of Cold War dick swinging situation that Russia and America were doing, because obviously nothing really ever happened, but everyone was like gearing up for something to happen. That was kind of what the Cold War was about, wasn't it?
Yeah, and do you think was it more propaganda based than actual? Are we doing this for a reason?
Well, that's what we're going to talk about today, Mike.
Hey!
Yeah, exactly. I mean, also, I feel like before we jump into the moon landings, I can kind of understand why at this point in time or around that time, people have like doubts about what's out there, because there's loads of other conspiracies happening there. And you'd already had like Watergate, the Gulf of Tonkin, Bay of Pigs that we spoke about last week, Kennedy getting assassinated. All of these things was just casting seeds of doubt in the American, but everyone's eyes, really, right? So you can kind of understand why people then just don't believe things or find reasons to not believe in what people are saying, especially around that time.
And the how to say, the conspiracy theories started almost from the get go. From the next paper was too good to be true. I'd have to find the source for that, but it was in the newspaper straight away.
In the papers.
In the papers straight away.
I also find it that something people don't like to talk about very much is that a lot of on both sides, on both Russia and America's side, there was a lot of Nazi involvement. A lot of the Nazis that they'd like basically deferred, and they'd taken like their best people, and they were part of the reasons that a lot of this happened on both sides. And yeah, I think is it Alan Dulles, the guy we spoke about last time, the godfather of the CIA.
Yes,
he was the one that was fired by JFK. I think you were saying, like,
he was fired by JFK.
Yeah, like he was the one that was setting up like the deals with the ex-Nazis and being like, right, come on over, and then yeah.
Well, I mean, if they're still technically skilled people.
Oh, sure, but yeah, and obviously not everyone that was. Yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah,
some of these people were known to have done some pretty terrible stuff, though.
Yeah, but, well, I don't know about a lot of the rocket scientists. They were fighting a great greed for the Nazis, but
that's a fair point.
If you drop those people, those scientists, into different regimes, they're probably still doing exactly the same thing, regardless of their political ideations.
That's very true.
So they're still scientists. I mean, the Russians and the Americans today even still work together scientifically. So.
Sure.
They go above politics. Same as like maybe the Olympics. Sometimes science goes above. So yeah. They had Nazis working on the rocket program.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to call it out. It's a fair point, though. Yeah, you make a very good point there in terms of like science is kind of beyond all of that. Sometimes you just need the greatest minds to progress for mankind, and
regardless of where they come from.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So obviously, lots going on. then suddenly out of nowhere, like you said, this rocket manages to fly 250,000 miles away in 4 days, 6 hours, 45 minutes. Come back.
Mm-hmm.
Guys got out of it, right? Okay, awesome, amazing.
Yep.
It was televised. The public were watching it. We'll talk a bit more about the fact of being live, but just one thing to point out is it was actually recording a monitor. The live feed was just recording like a monitor, and there was a reason for that. It was to do with like the technology being used on the rocket versus what they needed to transmit the live data, and
Yeah.
it's worth pointing that out. But
Well,
still,
that makes sense. A lot of the maths that was done on the lunar lander was done actually on Earth, and calculations and things were sent back because they didn't have the space to keep all the technology. With the computers being the size that they were, the computing power was down at the bottom, and it was basically beamed back to them. So they were talking to each other. The computer was actually down on Earth, and that would
yeah,
make sense. With the screen, you wouldn't be able to maybe potentially have the technology to beam it directly into people's homes.
yeah. And
You'd have
if
to
you're
have a
a
central source.
conspiracy theorist would say, conveniently so, that's why we have such grainy footage and such grainy photographs, is because they had to capture it in such low quality. They were using cameras that were 30 years old at the time, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So it wasn't like it was old for then,
Uh-huh.
not just for us now. So many years later. But all right. So just kind of I guess a neat segue to go into sort of some of the footage conspiracy angles. But before we go
Angles
into
being, yeah.
angles, yeah, exactly. I think you can't really start talking about Stanley Kubrick, who's like supposed to have been basically the idea being that the moon landings were faked and they were filmed in a Hollywood studio, and Stanley Kubrick was the one who like put it all together because prior to that he'd released what was it, 2001 Space Odyssey.
2001.
Yeah, and then I think a year later he then released The Shining, and then the conspiracy theorists love this idea of there's like it's like his admission that he'd faked the moon landings because there's little like Easter eggs in there, like the kid Danny's t-shirt's got a rocket on it, and the room is like 237. So there's loads of like lore around Stanley Kubrick being like the mastermind of this big fake that was like live televised. But that's a huge thing to do if it was in fact live, right? Because what's the chance of that going wrong?
I mean, they say it's live. I mean, if I was going down the conspiracy theory route, if they're recording the live feed to people's homes from a monitor, what's to say that that monitor could have been recorded anyway?
100%. Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and yeah, there's also there's another famous guy called Bart Sibrel, which I've kind of like been reading a lot about what he's been saying, because he's like the guy when it comes to like moon landing conspiracies, and he's like wrote books on it, and he basically wrote to NASA to get all of the footage that they had, because it was never all put out there, because there's like, I think there's like 5,000 photos or something, and there's like loads of video footage, and he got like I think it's like 100 hours of video footage or something like that, quite a large amount that he looked through, and he's basically pointed out loads of stuff in this stuff and claimed that like, oh look, you were hiding this from the public, but in reality they were like, look, you wrote to us and asked us to give you the stuff, and we did. It's public record, you can have it, you just have to write to apply for it, and you can, some people get it. So it's really interesting. A lot of his stuff comes from seeing like this other footage that's not necessarily seen by the general public.
And there were 6 other missions with 12 astronauts altogether. There's footage from other different missions going there.
Too.
Better quality. Why everyone sort of focuses on this one, is it just because of the space race thing that they needed to be first?
Yeah, well, I think it's for convenient timing, wasn't it, for the Americans? It was communism versus capitalism, wasn't it? And it's like, yeah, and they were also lagging. The Americans were behind, and then suddenly they're able to just fly 250,000 miles and do something absolutely incredible. And look, I love it. The idea that we went to the moon is far more exciting to me than the conspiracy, because that's what I believe. I actually believe we did go. I think that did happen, we human beings. But as I said before, the conspiracy angles are very interesting, and you can kind of get why there's so much conspiracy around it because there's so much inconsistency behind it.
I don't know if there is much inconsistency.
Hmm.
There were around 400,000 people working on the space program at the time,
Right.
and it almost seems like actually going to the moon is easier than the conspiracy itself. Keep making a fake and faking it almost seems harder than going to the moon itself.
I guess one argument for that would just be that obviously you had the Manhattan Project happening not far before that, where everything was extremely segregated, so people were not aware what the other people were working on, and that's perhaps why we found that you haven't got necessarily anybody aware of the bigger picture, and that really of those 400,000 people, it's probably only like a couple of hundred that are really in the know of everything, right?
No, I don't think not with the moon landings because they announced they were going to go to the moon before they went to the moon with JFK doing the speech. So I don't know if I think people would be told you're working on the moon landing, you're working on sort of Apollo.
Yeah, I know, no. I
Maybe with
can
the Manhattan Project, they'd be keep it under their hats because it was a secret deadly weapon.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. You've got all 400,000 people working on something that's nothing. The thing is, it could have all still been contributing towards something. Maybe they did have a go at it, but maybe it didn't go as successfully as they could, right? And maybe it, and that kind of leads us into like, I mean, there's loads of angles on like online you can read about there's like a sea rock photo and there's a reflection discrepancies and there's no star.
Yeah, I've got the sea rock photo up.
Yeah, that is an interesting one, isn't it? But it could just be a weird shadow or a weird flick of the camera. The flag waving's always been an interesting one, but then it looks like he kind of is trying to make it wave. So it's allegedly checking it from the bottom.
It's on a pendulum, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's been made to look like it's waving. I think. Yeah. There's the shadow discrepancies people talk about. No blast crater, right? He's clearly making footprints, but the actual moon cruiser, whatever you call it, is not actually made any indent.
No, it hasn't made a massive indent, but it has made striations sort of outwards, radiating outwards. I mean, it's got 1/6 of the gravity of Earth, and yes, the dust is fine, but I think we were using our Earth brains here and thinking like a rocket or a helicopter would need that amount of sort of thrust downwards to slowly descend itself, and it brought itself to a crawl basically before it got to the ground. And so in the pictures there are the radiating sort of blasts out, but yeah, I believe it. I believe.
No, yeah, same. I mean, no, but these are exactly like the logical arguments we need to have, right? The whole point of this isn't actually just always to talk about conspiracies. It's to talk about logically why people think certain things, what is actually true, what is not true, what's found out later to be untrue. This one's really tricky because there's not a huge amount of evidence to support that it isn't true. There's more evidence to support that it is. As in, sorry, that it's true that we went to the moon. I guess. Okay, so put all your footage, aside, all of those angles, because there is literally tons of them, and they're not that. None of them are hugely convincing to me, but as a grand total, they're quite impressive. More practical is the conspiracy of the Van Allen radiation belt, and it's not a conspiracy. This thing exists, right? It's supposed to be this radioactive field that exists between here and the moon that these people would have had to pass through. The conspiracy theorists would say would have killed them. It's not possible, but there's been a lot of well-known people also come out and say, no, it's not great for you, but they were well protected and they should have been fine, even though they were going for it for like an hour and a half. What do you think about that? Any thoughts?
I think that will come out. I mean, they're going to the moon now, aren't they?
Supposed to be.
I don't know too much about that. I'm going to put my hands up, but I think
no, that's fair enough.
I don't think they send people up to their deaths without taking that into consideration. They've already sent satellites around and returned them back, so I'm sure they would have had some kind of data relating to it, rather than just sending people up there blind.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it, and apparently this thing's also changed since then as well. So it's probably, and I'm sure. Well, apparently they allegedly protected themselves with just like a bit of aluminum, basically. And yeah, it's like
they tinfoil hatted it,
1/8 of an inch or something like that. Tinfoil hatted it. The tinfoil hat itself before it was a conspiracy. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, again, if you listen to that Bart Sibrel guy, he's got a lot to say about the protection of what you need for, let's say, going to get an X-ray, which is like milliseconds, and you
Hmm.
protect it with a lead. You're protected with lead, right?
Hmm.
Versus, I think it's not maybe it was. I think it might be aluminium, and it's even thinner. And these guys had to travel through it for an hour and a half, and this is allegedly like much more powerful than that. So yeah, that's an interesting angle, but still not convinced, right? Like maybe it wasn't good for them, and they don't want to admit that. But that doesn't mean they didn't do it and didn't survive.
I mean, Buzz Aldrin lived a long
Mhm.
life afterwards. I don't know about Michael Collins and Neil Armstrong,
Mm.
but
Well, it's interesting you bring those very famous people up, because one of the most compelling things for me when I was trying to like really dig up a decent angle on the moon landings was when I saw the interview of those three people after they'd allegedly been to the moon.
hmm.
And for me, if I'd been to the moon and I had all these like cameras in front of me, I just think I'd be a bit happier. These guys look completely like disillusioned. They look like obviously they're reading from teleprompters, and maybe they're not like, maybe some of them aren't that great in public. These guys choose to go leave the earth. Maybe they don't want to be seen by
Yeah.
like all these cameras and stuff. But like, I think it just seems almost disingenuous. And I think a lot of people claw onto that video and that interview and say, "Look, these guys didn't go to the moon." And I kind of got that. That was really interesting. Um,
Uh,
sorry, go on.
yeah. Well, I was going to say that by the end of it, Buzz Aldrin was pretty good at doing interviews and things. I don't know how much. I've not really seen anything of Michael Collins and Neil Armstrong. I don't know if he really stepped away from it. Maybe they're just at that point bombarded with questions. They've got probably a lot going through their mind. But maybe they're just not as charismatic as me and you.
Well, that's it, Mike. Maybe that's
Exactly.
it. I mean, I don't think I'd go to the moon, so I wouldn't be able to come back and brag about it. But
You definitely
yeah.
would.
One interesting thing about Neil Armstrong, you mentioned that, like he had maybe not that seen in like the public eye. He wasn't like the Big Bang Theory, wasn't he? I think at one point, or was that Buzz Aldrin? But either way,
I think he died well before that. When did he die?
oh no, sorry, it was Buzz. Maybe it's Buzz Aldrin. But one thing he did do is the guy that I mentioned wrote all the conspiracy stuff around the moon landings.
Yeah.
Neil Armstrong smacked him.
No, Buzz Aldrin. He smacked someone.
Oh, was it Buzz Aldrin smacked him?
Yeah.
Oh no, I've got it all wrong. That's okay.
Neil
So,
Armstrong died in 2012.
oh,
Just an
so
aside, I didn't even remember or know when.
maybe it was Buzz Aldrin that smacked him. Anyway, one of them,
Mhm.
he was basically there, like having a go at them, saying, "This is all a fake. You're a liar." And
Yeah. That was Buzz Aldrin.
fair enough, and he got away with it as well. Fair enough.
National hero.
Yeah, it's like if you got punched by like David Attenborough. It's like,
You're gonna get away with it. Or they're
yeah,
gonna. Yeah.
exactly. The light's crazy here. We're going from dark to the light.
I was about to say, I've not been on StreamYard, and you turn the light back on.
No, yeah, I've turned it on. I am the Lord. All right, so a couple more for you that I
Uh-huh.
thought were relatively compelling, but very coincidental, I'm sure. So
Uh-huh.
there's two quite famous deaths around the moon landings. So there's a guy called Gus Grissom, and he was the third person to fly into space, and I think he was supposed to be like the first man on the moon. But he basically started saying to everyone it wasn't possible. Very vocal about criticizing the space program, and he fixed a lemon the size of a grapefruit on a coat hanger, and invited loads of journalists up into the rocket, and basically said this thing's a lemon. It's like crap. I didn't really understand the reference of the lemon. Maybe it's like an old thing, but
Uh,
like apparently that's a
What
representation.
what did he do?
He hung a lemon on a coat hanger,
He
right? So
hung a
apparently,
lemon on a hanger.
yeah, I didn't really get this either. Like maybe I've misunderstood or misread the story, but like I think the lemon represented the rocket just being like crap, and he was hanging it on using a coat hanger,
Right.
and he's just like it's a piece of junk sort of thing. Anyway, he later died in that, like in sort of training or like testing of equipment. There was like a fire.
67. Yeah.
Yeah, him and two other astronauts died. And the day before, he came in to his wife and sort of said, the CIA were at the launch pad today, looking at the rocket. Allegedly, that bit, I should say.
Well, why would you say it's a lemon and then get in it if he
No,
didn't
no,
have any
no.
faith in it?
No, when they were talking about it flying to the moon, he was saying, like, I don't think that's possible. Like,
Ah,
yeah, and he was basically saying it's bullshit. Like, anyway, he died. It
he
was very
died.
sad. Left his wife and maybe children behind, but I didn't really read that
His
much.
wife's name is Betty. She's still
His wife-
alive.
Is she?
Born in 1945.
Did they have children?
Wikipedia, don't fail me now.
We want the conspiracy to live on through someone that's alive, as well as the wife.
He has 2 children, but they are unnamed.
Ronald Thomas Baring also died. He got hit by a train. Him and his family were in a car that broke down on a railway track, and a train hit them. And he also wrote a 500-page report about how badly mismanaged the Apollo program was. Someone made a joke there, but apparently around that time, like there was loads of like people coincidentally dying on train tracks when their cars stopped working, and that actually maybe that's like just the CIA style of the time.
That was the style of the time.
Yeah, we're going with train crashes for now.
As opposed to like the Russian pushing downstairs or falling out of windows.
Yeah.
I mean, there were 400,000 people who worked on this project.
Yeah. That's fair point.
In the years and decades leading up, during and after, eventually some people are going to die.
And there may have even been more people that died just that weren't naysayers of it and were probably like, oh no, it's brilliant, it's going really well, we're going to the moon, it's going to be fantastic. Yeah. But who knows? It's fun to talk about the dark side, but I think you and I have already made our decision on this one for sure.
I've made my decision on this one.
Yeah. Just okay. One last put of the hat of the tinfoil hat on.
Okay.
Right. One last fasten.
Sure.
Why would they have faked it if it was fake? What would be the purpose?
Winning.
What do you think they're winning?
Winning. If they were to fake it, it'd be to show the Russians and that they win. The Americans don't really do participation medals very well. They wanted to win.
Yeah, I guess it's also going to be like incentive to invest in their country, unite the nation a little bit as well. They just lost their president that long ago, and stuff like that's been happening.
Oh yeah, national pick me up.
Yeah. Okay. So, final big hit of the bat. What if they did go, but they found something they haven't spoken about and they've covered up? Such as, bear with me here, Mike. So we're talking about the Dark Side of the Moon right now. Okay, my favorite, one of my favorite albums in the world.
Yep, brilliant.
Alien bases.
Yep,
remnants of a previous civilization, or like some sort of like soul sucker. Maybe that's when we die, all of our souls just get sucked up by this thing.
This isn't the first time I've heard of this, and the first time I heard of this would have been about 2015.
Which one?
It's a very short story. When I used to be a forklift instructor, I went to do some training for a company that did kebabs. They were the warehouse for the kebabs, the elephant leg, and they're all Muslim fellas. I did their training, and we went back to like their office to have teas and coffees and stuff. And for some reason, we started talking about moon landings, and they were trying to convince me, A, to convert, but B, we didn't go to they said that we did go to the moon, but we've never been back because they found they were told not to go back by the aliens that lived there. It was a weird afternoon. So that's not the first time I've heard that conspiracy theory that we don't go back because there's already a civilization there and they told us not to go back.
And Mike, how long have you been Muslim now?
It's been 10 years now. So
oh, cool. Well, that's fantastic, and I'm very glad
story.
to have such multicultural friends. Yeah, wonderful way to end. I think actually, I mean, we've already made a decision on this. We think it was, we think it happened. We don't actually think there's any alien bases, but it's a fun idea. And I think it's potentially a bit of an insult to, like you said, the 400,000 people who actually did work on achieving such an incredible thing to suggest that it wasn't real. But that aside, a fun rabbit hole to jump down, nonetheless.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
No, I think they went to the moon. And if you can even convince the Russians to say you went to the moon, you probably went to the moon.
Very wise, Mike. As always, thanks so much for your time, mate. Always good to chat. And
And you.
let's do it again next week.
I'll see you in 2 days.
2 days. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.